Happy Sunday, everybody, and welcome to another Hog Hoops Report. That is Kevin McPherson. I am Jacob Morris. Kevin, lots to talk about today. We got we'll say the first photo look at what this team looks like for Arkansas. The team's back on campus, practicing all the above. We talked a little bit before hopping on here. I think our favorite, everybody's favorite, perhaps the wingspan photo that John Calipari shared. He noted in the tweet, he sent off two photos on the 22nd, and he said, man, we are long. And that is something that obviously was clear in that photo and something that Arkansas fans should be really excited about. First look at a couple of those 7-footers.
Paulo Samito, 7'1".
Yeah.
They're on the official roster, by the way. He's going to wear number 99.
I love it.
And I took to social media. I mean, he's already big. He's got the biggest number that you can get to in terms of, not getting to triple digits, right? That double digit, So you're limited to how far the number can go on the jersey. So he took it to the limit. But I've already come up with some nicknames. Agent 99.
Okay. That's nice.
How about Paulo like it's 1999?
That
To
was
play on the
long.
old Prince song Party. Is it really? I mean, it's 4 or 5 words. It's okay.
You gotta think like if he throws down a dunk, are you getting all those syllables out? You know what I mean? It's you got to think about what's flashy, what goes off the tongue. That's why I like the first one, Agent 99 type of deal.
That's pretty quick.
Yeah.
That's pretty quick. So anyway, I started thinking about that stuff. It's just peculiar. Look at the photo though.
Yeah.
The photos. They've got him. Okay, so in the team photo, he's up a row further up, closer to the camera than the other big men, the frontline guys, including the other 7-footer Elmer Zavitz, who just arrived last week. So these guys hadn't been on campus in the limited summer stuff, June and July. We just got used to not hearing about or seeing about those guys in terms of how it related to what the team was doing on the court, strength and conditioning, some of the photos that came out. Now you're getting to see them. They're both big, but Samito, they had him. I mean, it's bad enough that he's taller than everybody. They've had him a row closer to the camera. He looks like Ralph Sampson or Wimby out there. They list him at 7'1" on the official roster. He looks 7'4".
Yeah.
With the way that picture's constructed. So, you're adding insult to injury for the other guys on that front line going, wait a minute, I don't look that imposing anymore. And then the wingspan photo just kind of added to that. He's got a reported wingspan of 7'5". He was standing next to Trevor Brazil, and they were doing the wingspan, arms extended, touching fingertips of the guy next to him. And he made, from a distance, he made Trevor Brazil look like Kareem Martal, who's about 6'6", maybe 6'7", and you zoom in, you go, no, that's actually Trevor Brazil, who's listed at 6'10", 230 with a 7'4" wingspan. So Samito reportedly has a 7'5" wingspan. I had one international source. He's from Angola. And he told me, I think he might be closer to 7'8" on that wingspan. He goes, I've heard that measurement somewhere. Someone shared that with him at one point. It was one of those international analysts that really kind of locked into those international players. And so when I look at that photo, I'm like, that one source I had a while back might be right. I mean, this wingspan's insane. It looks like it's more than an inch longer. The reported 7'5" for Samito, Brazil 7'4". Seems like there's a bigger discrepancy there. But again, I'm not, aside from that, whatever time I think he arrived on Tuesday, so almost a week ago. And some of the stuff he's already doing inside the Performance Center, I'm told to have some wow factor kind of impressions. And anytime you're that long and that tall, and he's quick off his feet, he's athletic, you're going to have some things that everybody else has to adjust to that's not used to seeing that every day. You got to put a little more arch on your shot inside if you're trying to get the ball over him to score. It's easier and quicker for him to get to the rim for a dunk than you might realize defensively. Next thing you know, he's flushing one home in your grill. I mean, he can run the floor as well. He can stretch a little bit with some shooting. And let's not get over our skis. I'm not going to project him in the top 2 rotation just yet. I think he's more long-term development type piece. But how long-term? And what is he going to continue to show day in and day out once they really ramp up practice? The other big man, Elmir Zavitz out of Bosnia, 6'11", pushing 7 feet, 265 pounds. He'll wear number 15, Jacob, on the jersey. Something a little more, reasonable to what the palate expects in a jersey number at the college level, right? Or any level for that matter. But this guy has massive frame And you look at his legs, they are tree trunk legs, his
Hmm.
thighs, his calves, the whole body. I mean, he is a hulking presence. We might just need to name him the Hog Hulk, nickname him something like that. Dude is huge. He's a more traditional down low, low block, turn and use that frame to get into players and create a little space to finish. He's not a guy that's going to whiz up and down the court or, handle the ball from the wing on in. He's more the traditional kind of guy. But man, you look at that frame, and he's the kind of guy that can go in, knock bodies around in the paint. You might use him spending some fouls to send a message. And he will also, even if it's just as a practice player, he's going to help the veteran guys because they've got to deal with that mass, that mountain inside. And it's not something they see every day in practice. Now they will. And it'll prepare them for potential matchups that they don't see again in practice or even in the SEC or certain other places. They've really added depth to this front line, even if it doesn't translate to a meaningful roles immediately in playing time game to game. There will be roles down the road. How soon for some, I would project Samito maybe a little sooner than Javic.
I was going to ask, how do you envision this playing out? We've talked about, the positives of having depth. It's never a bad thing in terms of obviously it was an issue at times for the team last year. What do you project for these guys? What's maybe the ceiling, the floor? What are you expecting to see from both guys contributions wise this year?
Well, again, I think outside of the top eight, it's hard to predict minutes even for Isaiah
Yeah.
Sealy, who I think is going to play and have a role. Samito's a guy that potentially could. There's not a lot of depth at that 4 or 5 combo. I'll really look now at Trevor Brazile because he's been a 4 or 5 combo in this system last year. Malik Ewan as a
Hmm.
4 or 5 combo, probably start at center or come off the bench initially as this at the 5 spot. But he's good enough offensively, I think, to be on the court as a four. And then I think Nick Pringle defensively can defend some fours, and he's versatile defensively, especially in pick and roll, dribble handoff, those situations that you might have to switch. So I think all three of those guys are going to be able to play some minutes, both 4 and 5. So it's going to be hard to crack that rotation. Then I think Carter Knox will
Hmm.
see some small ball 4 minutes when there's only one true big on the court. So I think for Samito, it's a little tough for him to get in there. But man, we saw what attrition did to Arkansas last year. If
Yeah.
he proves to, I think they're really high. The staff is. I know this for a fact that they're high on his ceiling and where this can go with him and the development aspect of it. But if he comes in there and is a little further along than they think, and he continues to progress, you can't rule out that he'll plug and play somehow with more regularity than I can even see right now. I mean, it's so soon. They just got onto campus. So that's how I see it right now, leaving the door cracked. That we see more of Samito than we envision right now. I think with Javic, it's probably a longer path for him to see the court. Maybe by year two, maybe even further out than that. We'll just have to see. But you can't ever rule out again if you're in a situation where you just need to put a body out there to
Yeah.
send a message physically and pick up a foul or finish a half or whatever. I mean, they used to roll out Kamani Johnson. He's not a 7 footer, 265 pound guy. Now he was a veteran college guy by the time he got to Arkansas. He was a transfer and he really helped Arkansas. But a lot of the time he was put on the court just to send a physical message. So you never know. But these guys at minimum are going to again help Arkansas in practice because they bring bigger
Hmm.
bodies height wise, length wise, size wise, all that weight wise, at least weight wise with Javic, than what they have now. They have capable veteran guys, but these guys are going to help them actually get better, I think.
Samito, it's so enticing because of how we opened with his wingspan, right? If he's going to be a project offensively, all the above, but if you can find a way to, I mean, he can give you 10 minutes and be a defensive just problem, right? And that's a practice sort of thing, getting everybody better as well. But I think you're right in terms of that's where you could see a guy like that, just an energy boost in terms of, maybe he's not going to bring the house down offensively, at least initially, but defensively with that wingspan, 7'5" to 7'8", you can see how big his hands are in that photo as well.
Um,
He's going to be a problem whenever he is ready in that rim protector kind of role as well for the Hogs.
yeah, I agree with you. You look at him fit, you just look at him, you're like, how's he not going to play? I mean, it's
Yeah.
just one of those things that we're still like, I'm still sorting through that because again, we don't know what's going to emerge here in the next few weeks. And the guys that are ahead of him, I mean, they've been in college basketball for a long time. They're
Yeah.
talented. They're good. They understand the nuances, right? Communication on defense. They know the assignments. They know how to uh, play to their strengths and figure out how to deal with things on the fly. That's hard for freshmen. So you can have all the physical gifts, athletic gifts, all these things, and some real talent in there. How do you take more steps and some of the other things like that where you're still learning and the other guys have a big advantage? I think that's the biggest thing. But I couldn't argue with you, Jacob, if you found 8 to 10 minutes for him a game. You think about any sport where you got someone that comes in and gets a few plays, and a
Mhm.
lot of times it's a change of pace guy that the other team just you haven't shown yet. You didn't have with what you've already run out there, and now there's something else. There's another element they might have to worry about, or something that they can't adjust to. Again, these are all things to consider. As we it's good to dream too about it because it's not like last year's roster after the top 9 guys. You knew nobody was going to
Mhm.
see the court unless it was a blowout. Even in emergency situations when Arkansas got down to the bare bones with playable guys, they just didn't turn to that bench. That was effectively walk-on guys, whether you were technically on athletic scholarship or a true walk-on. Little different this time, and so we'll see. Again, Sealy and Samito, to me, outside that top 8 that is the top 8, those guys have chances to do more than just sit and watch and hope it's a blowout.
Yeah, with a guy like that, you hope you avoid injuries. It's always a concern when it comes to bigs. But again, if you could find a role for that guy, whether it be foul trouble or change of pace, whatever it might be, just that you can say, all right, at least defensively, we can rely on him to patch up for 10 minutes or whatever it might be. If you
Mhm.
need, it'd be a big time role. But exciting to see the full team photo there, and as well as the big guys adding as well. We're gonna hit a quick break. When we come back, we'll switch over and talk some recruiting. But first, a quick message from our sponsors. All right, back here on the Hog Hoops Report. That is Kevin McPherson. I am Jacob Morris. Kevin, let's talk a little bit of recruiting out of the dead period into the quiet period for the Razorbacks here. You were talking not huge expectations for the Hogs, but visits will start up next month for Arkansas and for Cal.
Yeah, you've got several players. I mean, you basically have back to back to back to back weekends, 4 consecutive weekends where we know about scheduled visits. Erfan Diane, class of
Mm-hmm.
2026, top 25 rated big man, the number one center in the country at Iowa United Prep. He is set to come in. The first visitor that we know about chronologically, September 12th through the 14th, a weekend where the football Hogs are on the road, not playing at home. So September 12th through 14th, followed by the next weekend, September 20th through the 21st. The number 2 player in the country, 6'2" combo guard out of Fairfax, Virginia, Jordan Smith Jr. set to come in. Again, Arkansas football will be on the road that weekend of the 20th to the 21st. So we're not going to see, he won't be able to see that fan atmosphere. Both players expected to be in the performance center to take in basketball practice for the Razorbacks. The following weekend after Jordan Smith Jr., another 5-star guard, Tay Kenny, top 20 rated from the state of Kentucky, plays at overtime elite. He was on an unofficial visit to Kentucky when Calipari was still the coach there. There's a long-term, long-standing relationship between player and coaching staff. He was the first 2026 kid that Calipari offered, I believe, once he became the Arkansas coach. And then we know overtime elite, Carter Knox, Malik Thomas. Kentucky's last team when Calipari was there, you had 2, Rob Dillingham and Jordan Burke. So that's in his wheelhouse, those OTE guys that play down in Atlanta. So you've got the Kentucky connected. So Tate Kenny, the weekend of the 26th to the 28th of September. And oh, by the way, Arkansas football does have a home game. They're hosting Notre Dame. That'll be a big one. How about fan atmosphere for Kenny to
Yeah.
take in for that weekend? The following weekend, Cole Clower, a 6'7" wing out of the state of North Carolina, has 7 visits scheduled. Arkansas is among them, October 3rd to the 5th. That's a bye week for the football team. So 3 of the 4 visitors where we know there's other visitors where they're finalizing visit dates. Those will pop soon. Abdou Toure told me just a few days ago, yeah, I'm definitely coming to Arkansas. I'm going to drop those visit dates soon. Another source told me, yeah, his date's finalized with Arkansas. It's just a matter of when he puts it out. The dates were actually shared with me, but I can't reveal those. They've got to be put out by the player, so I can't give any hints or give anything away there. But those are the known. The Cole Clower 6'7" is a sharpshooter, man. So you've got that's coming in that October 3rd to the 5th weekend. So you've got a bounty of top level guys. Clower's top 25 rated. Most of them are 5-star level guys. We know how Calipari does it. And so that stuff picks up. Now, we were in a recruiting dead period, Jacob, that ended August 20th, just a few days ago. Right now, we're in a quiet period where technically you could bring players onto campus. I don't know. I've been told that Arkansas is not planning to do that through the end of August. And we just went through when the official visits actually
Hmm.
start, will begin in kind of mid September. But let's keep our eyes open because there's always a possibility that something could change, something could happen soon. Remember, Arkansas actually hosts a football game next weekend.
Yeah.
If you wanted to sneak somebody in, get someone in, jam that in, and get him in there when the fans are there. I don't know what the atmosphere is going to look like, but it ought to be strong given the fact that you should be getting a W against Alabama A&M. Everybody should be happy and make sure they show up for a win. But anyway, so we're keeping our eyes on obviously these dates, but Arkansas's got 4 locked in as far as what's known publicly with their visit dates.
How much stock do you put in terms of the football game being the center of the weekend? Is it just the type of thing where, hey, if it works out for a schedule, you can add on a bonus? It's an atmosphere type of deal. How do you kind of view that in terms of the visit process?
I mean, I always bring it up because I think, you'll have players come in during the basketball season as
Yeah.
well for visits, and they'll get to see Bud Walter. I always think it's interesting because you're selling your program, right? You're
Hmm.
selling everything. That you got to talk academics. You're gonna have academic folks come in and give their
Yeah.
spiel. You've got the obviously Calipari, who's got the best sales pitch of any coach ever when it comes to recruiting high school players and how he helps them with the NBA. You got plenty. You're going to bring him into the practice facility to see a bunch of top level guys. You know how Calipari recruits, who are probably going to be some of the next guys going to the NBA, and you get to watch their process. So you get plenty without a football game. But what you don't get in the fall when you're lining up a lot of these players, then because remember, the early signing period was which is what you're targeting is in early to mid
Hmm.
November, and by that time you've barely started playing basketball games, so you don't really have a whole lot of opportunity to get them in for visits for basketball if you want to get them done early in the early periods. You've got to do it during the football season. So the only way you can really show them the fan base and what how
Yep.
electric it can be is at a football game. And so I think it's important. I think it adds to it. You bring recruits into those games, they not only see a place, 50, 60, 70,000, whatever it is. Well, for Arkansas, they need to be closer to that 70,000 mark or better. But it's the fans interact, man. They know who's
Yeah.
in the house, and you feel that vibe and that love, and you get a feel for that. And I've had so many recruits over the years tell me how that's what helped push it over the edge is the interaction with the fans at some of these big events. And again, a lot of that happens at football games.
I give credit to the fan base, both in terms of we've heard football recruits, we've heard basketball recruits, borderline shocked from the standpoint they'll be like, not even a part of their visit. They're at a Walmart or something, and somebody will pick them out of the crowd and know who they are. And like, it's
Yeah.
just, it goes to show just how invested the fan base is in terms of all aspects. Again, both for football and basketball, it's impressive. But when we come back, we're going to take another quick break. We'll talk in-state recruiting, couple big targets for the Hogs, and a big couple days for both of them. But first, a quick break and a message from our sponsor. Back and wrapping up shop on the Hog Hoops Report, Kevin McPherson and Jacob Morris. So, Kevin, we teased it a little bit. Let's continue talking recruiting. Let's go in-state. JJ Andrews, Anthony Spratt Jr., the big-time focus for the Hogs and pretty much every program across America. JJ Andrews obviously committed to Arkansas. Let's begin with him and just a laundry list of showcases, all-star games, all the above, a Rucker Park experience, which is always great in terms of basketball. Big time week for him, showing out and showing what he can do.
Started Monday with the Slam Summer Classic in Harlem. You mentioned it, Rucker
Yeah.
Park, famous. I think it's the most famous
Yes.
outdoor court where stuff happens for going back forever. I mean,
Yeah.
Cream
Yeah.
Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain, Dr. J. List goes on and on. But he got an opportunity, to, measure himself against the top players in the country, the ones we keep talking about. Now that the spring and summer shoe circuit stuff is over, these are the All Star games before he gets into the senior season, and then hopefully you land McDonald's and you're playing in a lot more All-Star games
Hmm.
again in the spring, next spring. But this is his shot at that kind of stuff now. So he did well. played well out at Rucker Park, showed well, had some nice plays some of which I put out on my social media on my X account earlier in the week. Then it was off to Los Angeles to take part in the prestigious Nike, what used to be called the Skills Academy. Now they just call it the Academy. Top players around the country. And while you're out there, by the way, you transition as part of that experience going into the Mamba League Invitational, another outdoor court out in LA. Obviously honoring the late great Kobe Bryant, who was known as the Mamba, the Black Mamba, and you had JJ Andrews taking part in that All-Star game, which was played yesterday. And again, I put out some highlights of some of his dunks. He had a reel where he had a nice drive in from the wing into the paint, and just dunked on somebody. Then immediately on the other end, he flashed for a steal, went in and got another dunk. But yeah, he's getting rewarded for all his hard work and being arguably the best player, on the Nike circuit when you looked at the body of work and being the
Yep.
MVP and winning a championship. And then, some of the other stuff, the MBPA Top 100 camp in June, he was arguably the top player there, loaded field. And then everything this week is just, you call it gravy. I mean, it's opportunity to showcase more. He's got nothing else to prove. He's already committed to Arkansas Sun, but you're trying to get better as a player. You're measuring yourself against the best. You want these opportunities, these big stage opportunities, to showcase yourself and prove the point even more that, hey, I'm not just a 5-star. I might just be the best player in the country.
Yeah, we saw that with Acuff and Malik Thomas too. And it's just, if you are an Arkansas fan, it's when you have an opportunity to see these guys go up against the best guys in their respective class. And Acuff was just so impressive with that, where you would see him, it was out in Portland, right? Where, final stretch of the game, and he's taken over as the alpha of the team with what felt like 20 other 5-stars out on the court. It's great showcase. It's great press for the program, all the above, but it also just gets these guys better. Let's wrap up with Anthony Spratt Jr., fresh off the Cal offer, and he had himself a heck of a week as well.
Yeah, out at CP3 Rising Stars Elite Camp. That's for the top high school freshmen and sophomores of the country, class of 2028. So he'll be a sophomore at Benton. He helped the Panthers the 5A state title, the school's only title in basketball last season as a freshman. But, it's a big showcase platform for him, big opportunity for him. That's out in North Carolina. It's an annual thing, and you get to take some unofficial visits while you're out there. So they hit some of the high major programs in North Carolina, including Duke. We know John Shire has been recruiting him. I've talked about that and reported that previously. But he was they sent me that photo with him next to John Shire at Duke. I'm sure Razorback fans were not happy to see that on social media. But when you cover recruiting, you cover recruiting.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't hide what's going on. You need to know what's going on. So, like it or not, it's best to stay informed and then not wonder later what the heck happened.
Yeah, we always talk as well, right? It's only a good sign when you are in recruiting battles like that, right? Like we can poke and prod
Yeah.
and have fun, right? In terms of, oh man, Duke, all the above. But same sort of deal. We were talking about that with Dan Hurley last year, I remember as well, where it's like, if you are in a recruitment battle and you're in a recruiting battle with Dan Hurley, it probably bodes well. Same sort of thing with John Shire, and obviously Cal's, had his fair share of battles with Duke on the court and on the recruiting trail as well. But that's all the time we have on this week's Hog Hoops Report. That is Kevin McPherson. I'm Jacob Morris. We'll be back to talk to you next week. So long, and we'll talk then.